TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Not much. I always had travel, with them when I was refereeing. I had to I hauled the ring, put the ring up, put the ring down, plus referee. Once I started managing and stuff and started getting on the road. See, back then, brother, there wasn't no plane tickets. They didn't fly you nowhere.
Right.
They flew who they wanted to fly, but I wasn't one of them guys they flew. I remember one time me and Robert Gibson, you talk about the Rock and Roll Express.
Yep.
We were in Boone, North Carolina. We had a show there. Well, I drove from Atlanta, Georgia to Boone, North Carolina. And when we finished that show, the Crockett's plane was there. And I went on the plane to get a beer. And Jim Crockett said to me, "Ian, get off of my plane. What are you doing on this plane?"
Wow.
And I just can't even get a beer. So I got off the plane. I went to get back in my car. And Robert Gibson felt bad about it or something, and he got off the plane and he got in the car and he rode with me all the way back to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I wouldn't have to go back by myself that night. Well, I kind of got along with him, Ole. He didn't get along with anybody.
Yeah.
He didn't. I don't think he liked anybody. He called me the N-word a couple of times.
So you think he's
tried
racist?
to discourage me. Well, I don't think he's racist.
Right,
I know he's racist.
Right.
Because I remember one time me and Ole and Thunderbolt Patterson. Thunderbolt Patterson was Ole's right-hand guy. And we had a meeting one time. And I remember Ole, let's see, how did that go? Somebody asked Ole. Oh, I remember Ole asked Thunderbolt. And we're right in there. I'm right in there. And he says to Thunderbolt, he says, "Thunderbolt, how many ends do we need on the card?" And I'm like, okay, I just don't say nothing. So, and Thunderbolt, he's no better. He chimes right in to Ole and he says, "Well, don't worry about it, boss. The only end going to be on the card is going to be me." So he's telling me right then, you ain't got no spot in. I'm going to be the guy, So, and then Ole had to explain to me, he says, well, the only reason why I work with Thunderbolt is because the ends want to see him beat me up and the whites want to see me beat him up. So he was just terrible, man. But I did get along with him. He talked to me sometime. One time he came to me and asked me, he says, "Are you okay?" And that shocked me. You don't care about nobody. And I never forget, I refereed one of Ole's matches, and he was in the corner, and I walked over to him trying to get him out of the corner, and I tapped him on the back to bag out, and he told me don't put my hands on him.
Did you experience a lot of racism in wrestling?
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, no problem, man. Back in the day, that's what it was. I mean, they had black guys that they tried to do stuff with. Tony Atlas was one of them. And Tony, I love him to death, but he'll tell you right now, too much too soon.
Right.
And he was as big as enemy. Because they gave him the ball, okay? And all he had to do was carry that ball. But he got, overwhelmed, thought he was the guy they needed. They didn't, they need me, I don't need them, and that type of thing. So that's how it just, golly, it's amazing. It's so much stuff that went on back then. I never forget, I remember one time, way back in the day, who was it? Somebody just walked up to me and they just looked at me talking about, "Hey, Ian, we ain't got rid of you yet," something like that. And I'm like, I just kept right on walking, man.
TitleMatchNetwork.com.